If you want to stay competitive, build a business, and make money online in the age of AI, then you need to stop using boring, run-of-the-mill AI prompts. Why? Because that's what everyone is doing, and they're getting the same result. I mean, have you noticed how many of your feeds on social media are filled with garbage AI content that you just scroll past and never engage with? Yep, that is because we have reached AI junk content saturation. There is so much of this content out there that it's hard for people with real, good, helpful content to actually break through the noise. That is, unless they're using JSON prompting. And while this might not be the most popular video, it is going to help change your mind to understand how computers work. Because let's face it, in the age of AI, you're going to need to understand how computers work and train your brain to think that way so that you can get ahead. Starting to make sense? Good, because while everyone else is using plain old prompts to get the same plain old output, I'm going to take you a little bit into the future. And this video is going to change the way you think about using AI to build a business, stay competitive, and make money. So get ready, smash the like button, because we're going to head in the computer. I'm going to show you why JSON prompting is the future, how JSON prompting works. I'm going to give you several examples and show you where to get hundreds more. Plus, I'm going to show you how JSON prompting is going to save you time so that you can create things faster and build your business the right way using AI. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the real deal. After being in business over 25 years and seeing what people do and what they struggle with, this is something that's going to change your brain and make you think differently. And I'm not talking about law of attraction, limiting money beliefs, because let's face it, there's plenty of super rich people with terrible attitudes and terrible outlooks. Yet, they still make money hand over fist. Why? Because there's a set of principles they're all following. And those principles don't care how you feel or what you believe in. Just like gravity, it's a constant. It's always there. So today, I'm going to show you how to think like a computer so that you can stay ahead in the age of AI. Come on, let's go to work. All right, so pay close attention here because this is the future. If you understand this, I think it's going to give you a leg up on how to build a business with AI. Now, again, remember, we're building a business. There is risk, there is reward. While I've made millions of dollars online and lots of other people have made more or same amount or even less, the vast majority of people trying to quote unquote make money online make nothing. So take this with a grain of salt, look at it as a business, look at it as risk reward, and really look at it as like, okay, what am I going to learn and how can I use this starting right now? That's the important part, because we want to look at this and say why JSON is the future of working with AI. Now, what we're looking for is JSON prompting versus regular prompting. Regular prompts are where you go to ChatGPT and you say, write an article about plants or something like that. And it'll go out there and it'll write an article about plants. It'll be generic. It'll be decent. You'll probably be impressed with it, but you won't know why that content isn't actually doing good, building your business, or making you any money. This video is about understanding the difference between the prompt and the content that gets nothing and the one that does really well. Because what we're looking for with JSON prompting is consistent, good results based on something that works. This is super important. We're going to go through the details and show you exactly how it works. Now, first of all, what we need to understand here, and I need to save my notes so that it comes up. There it is. We need to understand that everything is data. What we've learned recently with science and computers and all of this stuff is that everything's data. Even our own working makeup is DNA, which is data. It's like a string of data. That's what they're finding out. Now, when we look at this, we know that data is powerful. You just do a Google News search for data centers. You can see they're spending billions and billions of dollars on these data centers. Just an hour ago, Google announces its first gigantic data center. I mean, this is insane. Why? Because data is money when used correctly. You might think of data as like a bunch of pictures on your hard drive or your phone or whatever it is, where in fact it's actually something different. It is taking the physical world and making it into data, which is like calculatable and usable for all kinds of other things. Much like how you go to the desert and you drive out to the desert. And when I was a kid, we used to go to Vegas all the time from California. And I would drive from California to Vegas, and along the way, you would hit the Nevada border. And I would always wonder, okay, well, there's a sign that says Nevada, but there's no line on the ground like on the map. Well, the line is our way of saying that's data. It doesn't actually exist in the real world. It just exists in data. So understanding that is key. Like this video you're watching right now is a bunch of numbers and codes somewhere on a computer, somewhere in cyberspace. It's data, yet it's going to make me money. And I'm going to show you how that works and how we extract data from normal everyday things using AI, and how we get the AI to output data that's going to help us grow our business. This is super important because if you understand this, then you're going to understand, oh, that's how computers work. This is what I need to learn. Much like going through and having this regular thing here, which is pretty much nothing. Okay, it's an article. The internet doesn't need more articles, but it is, it's kind of impressive. Like in 2022, this was really impressive. Now we're saying, okay, everyone can go to ChatGPT and say, write an article about plants. Where are we going to get something that actually works? What we're going to do is we are going to rely on consistent good results based on something that works. We're going to look at what works and we're going to dissect it. Now, what I did in prep for this video is I actually went through and I gave ChatGPT, or actually Gemini, we also did some examples in ChatGPT so you could see all of them. I gave it an entire webinar. This webinar that is loaded in here is verbatim a webinar I did that made about $14,000 in a couple of hours. Now, of course, I have an audience, I have a business. That's why it worked. I couldn't just wake up one day, have AI give me an article and, poof, I do a webinar and make money. This is about building something that grows. And I hope you understand that. If you do, type real business as a comment below and let me know that you're here for the real deal. You know that the pie in the sky stuff is just, distraction. We want stuff that actually works. Now, can AI make it a lot less hard than before? Of course it can. It does in a very structured way, and that's what this is about. Now, what I did with this webinar is I took something that worked. I was like, okay, if it worked once, it'll work again. Just like, a couple days ago, you saw Alex Hormozy do this big webinar thing. All right, those of us who have been around the industry for a while, we know that it's based on a structure that works. It's nothing new. All he did is the same thing we've been doing for years with a bazillion people watching it. That's the only difference there, and he had a very expensive offer too. So it's the same kind of thing. If you dissect what works, it goes over and over. Why did Russell Brunson get rich? He took the idea of funnels, broke it down into data, which is a system, and then people were able to use that. Whereas, I click here to get the opt-in page. These are things that we knew for years. He systematized it and made a lot of money. So understanding this is absolutely key. That is the core of what JSON prompting is. So looking at JSON prompting, it is JavaScript object notation. So instead of just a prompt like, hey, how you doing? What's the weather like today? What we're going to do is we're going to use a prompt that will look like this. This is what it looks like. It's got these little code-looking things here: webinar title, speaker, name, credibility, product, name, description, price, offer price. See how it's breaking it down in a very strategic way. So what the JSON prompting is doing is it's looking at everything as data, and we're going to force the AI to output and input JSON prompting. So the prompt style would be extract these fields from this text, output only valid JSON with keys. Very simple, okay? So what it's going to do is it's going to take something normal, like my webinar, which is like, hey, I'm Marcus, blah, 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 what's going on? And it's going to take it and say, zoop, here is the data of what this is, right? Officially welcome, everyone. Introduce yourself. Now, having this, we can go out there, and if you guys have ever followed other stuff, they talk about webinar scripts. There's been lots of entrepreneurs that sold webinar scripts for years and made a fortune with them. But what this does is it allows you to get the same output that I get based on data that actually works. So now I can say, make a webinar script, 2 hours about ClickFunnels or whatever. Let's say about, let's say web hosting that is $9 a month or whatever, right? And it'll go through and it'll do that and it'll say, here's why you need web hosting and everything like that. And what it's going to do is it's going to take all of the things that worked and break it down to where now we have this data prompt. It's like back in the day when this is how old I am, right? Back when I was a kid, we had these things called a microfiche, and it would take the newspaper and make it really small, and you had to blow it up on this giant screen thing, and you would see it. That's what this is doing. It's making it small and compressed, so it costs less for you, which is going to be good because AI is going to start to cost more and more and more as time goes on. Just like, when things start out, they're like $1 a month, and then later they're like $1 bazillion a month. And it's not inflation, it's because they know what they're doing and they're building an audience and stuff like that. But going through here, it's going to cost less for you in the long run. It's going to help you make tools, and it's going to help you build a business. So while we're waiting for this, it's going to think of that answer. When we get the example input, we would say, here's what we got, and then it'll give the example output. It's used for data extraction, consistent formatting. This is key. You find something that works on social media. You find a video that works. You want consistent videos that work. This is key. Going through here, a lot of people have talked about JSON prompting with videos where you're getting a very similar output. We need something similar that we can use. This is the key. As you see here, this is our JSON prompt, which is like, okay, resolution, frames per second, style, audio, everything. Look what happens. I gave it the same prompt and with no other stuff, and it pretty much came up with the same thing. This is what we want. This is key. You want the same output for the same type of thing where you can change something as you go along and build it and grow. So going through like this, here's the first example. Okay, not much to it. That ain't going to make me any money, but let me show you the idea here because you got to understand what's going on. Here's the second example. Again, these are completely different examples. It's as if the AI didn't know the first one existed, but boom, now we're getting this, right? So now here's video 2, and let's see the difference. As don't give up, he picks up the coin. Very simple, okay? See how it's like the same thing? Very similar character, very similar audio, same outlook, same colors, pretty much the same video, right? I mean, it's super close. This is important. Now, going through and doing Sora, it was similar. Sora is a much different video creator, but again, looking at, the basic overview is pretty much the same. It understood the don't give up. It understood all this other stuff. There you go, right? Super important. Now, Sora is different. It did 480, where this one did actual HD, but understanding this is key. If you're getting it, type consistent results as a comment and let me know. Now, the schema enforcement is where you're saying, okay, you must follow these steps. Here's the product, here's the string, here's the sentiment. And what's going to happen is this is going to help you. Okay, this is going to help you see things in a different way so you continuously get the same stuff and you're not going out there and spending hours and hours to find the right prompt because now all I have to do is go in and say, let's change the price, the product, boom, done deal. Super simple. Now we go through and we're like, okay, now I see how this is working and how we're going to get that output. Going through, with JSON, you're going to have minimal syntax resulting in smaller file sizes. So this is going to be something where you can keep track of it a lot easier rather than just having a bunch of prompts. And yes, this is a little more complicated than my normal video, but this is something you got to learn because it's going to teach you, this is how a computer thinks. A computer doesn't think, hey, write me an article about elephants. No. It's going to take your prompt. It's going to turn it into whatever it needs, right? So it's going to turn it into the JSON, and you're going to see the examples here. But let me show you what this looks like. If we were to go over to Gemini here, and let's open a new chat, and I say, write me an article about elephants migration. Okay? What it's going to do is it's going to take that and understand it in a different way. Now, show me the raw data of how you understood my prompt. Let's see if it does this. I don't know if it'll do this, but this will be interesting because if we can see why it understands our prompt and how it understands it, that's giving us insight into how this works, which is going to make us more effective as computer users, programmers, AI people, and all that. So let's see what it says for the raw data. And then as we go through, we can start to use this as our prompting. So the example would be, I love my hydro flask, keeps water cold, whatever. Okay? Example output would look like this. Now we can actually use it. We could create in JSON. It's going to work a lot faster and then throw it in to get the full output. Now we can even use JSON with API calls. This is important. I actually have a plugin business over at Blog Profit Network, if I could spell correctly over here. At Blog Profit Network, I have a fully AI-enabled plugin that we created with API that uses JSON calls to get the stuff that I want. Like, I know what works on blog posts. I know what helps us monetize, helps us find affiliate offers and things like that. I boiled it into the plugin, right, which is basically just like a fancy website with API calls and stuff like that. That's all it is, right? It resides on a blog. And so going through and using that, we were able to get the JSON prompts where we can have it parse the stuff easily, where it's going and getting that data and it's understanding it rather than this big thing that it has to understand. And now going through and looking for this, look at, now show me the raw data of how you understood my prompt. What did it give us? I didn't even ask for this. I wasn't even talking about JSON. It said, oh, here it is in JSON. Write me an article about elephant migration. Intent, generate a well-structured, informative article for audience, the general audience, about migration. Required format article. There's where you would have required words. 1,000 words, 100 words, whatever it is. Must be engaging and relevant, hook the reader. See how it understood all this stuff? Now I could go through and use this to build more stuff on to get a much better result. And here's what I would do, like whatever I'm doing. If I ever used AI to get a really good result, I would take that result and turn it into a JSON prompt so I can get that again. Because I'm sure you've used AI and you've gotten something wonderful and you're like, why did it work so good that time and now it's really not? We got to look at that and understand exactly how it works, right? That's where the JSON's going to come in. And we can use this with API calls. And I could say, now go to the API and, you know, it'd tie into AI and stuff like that. More about that on other videos I'll have in the description. The data structures, it natively supports arrays, which is like a list of things, but in a simple way. It's concise data that the computer's going to understand. Because if I go through and I give it this, right, like if I go to another ChatGPT here and I say, boom, it's just going to understand exactly what I need. Okay, so there we go. Boom, it's going to make it work and cool stuff. And I think I gave it the wrong one. We need this one. So we'll copy this one here. So we'll go new chat and we'll give it the elephant one and we'll see the difference between the different things here and the prompting output and everything like that. This is super important. Okay, got to understand this. We'll talk more about this. If you want to learn more, definitely watch the rest of this video, but type in the box, in the comments, let me know, hey, more JSON trainings, please, or something like that. Now, here's an example if you wanted to use like AI and have it respond in a different way. Key, it's going to respond in a different way. If you're making chatbots or something like that, having this JSON prompting is pretty much what they're doing. It's like, okay, follow these rules. It's like rules, right? It's like you're driving down the road and it's like, go 55, turn left, go here, do that. This is the rules that the AI follows. And if you understand this, you're going to start to see, this is how a computer thinks. It's how it breaks things down. In the age of AI, you got to understand this because that's going to give you the leg up. And I think that's where I kind of had a leg up because I understood this before. I didn't know about JSON prompting in the way that I'm learning it now, but I did know, oh, this breaks it down this way. And if we do this, this, and this, it's going to help us. I learned this back when I did SEO big time. I used to be a big SEO guy, get people ranked and things like that. And I understood how to do research with search engines in a different way than other people. I understood how to use keyword tools in a different way than other people. I understood these different things, and that's what made me successful, is understanding those and saying, oh, this is how the computer understands me. How can I take it a different way and make it work even better? This is key. And I'll link to some of those videos in the description as well, and put them in the notes and everything. Now, function calling, this is where you can go through and say, hey, use this, use that, use Excel, or create an MD file, or whatever it is. You'll notice that a lot of times we're using, Manus AI, and Manus AI will actually create a bunch of files for us. So if I go to Manus AI, right, like this, you're going to see what it does is it'll actually create files for you like this, okay? And it understands that because we're going through and using these prompts in a very specific way. And this will change the way you prompt, because now I could just edit the prompt. I don't have to come up with this big long thing, which is taking forever for the AI to understand, because I'm actually feeding it what it wants. We talked about this last week. If you didn't see the video that I did on creating content for AI rather than creating content with AI, again, big game changer. This is huge. Now, some quick tips is always say output valid JSON only. Provide a schema, use arrays for multiple values, use function calling for structured automation. If you're going to say, oh, I need an image or something like that, utilize that. And what you're going to notice is that you're going to get a very, very specific output where, like here, I went through this style where I wanted to create different styles of posts, right? I was going through and I'm like, okay, what are these? Okay, this is a popular model that's working on Facebook right now, and it's working on faceless videos and stuff like that, where I wanted to have different posts like this, and I went through and made them work in a very specific way with this carousel script. So I extracted from what worked, and then I said, put that back together in a prompt, and now I can go through and I can say, okay, here it is, you're a carousel writer, whatever, and it'll actually go through and make that prompt for me so that I could build and grow. Very, very cool, very easy, not too difficult to understand. Going through here, it'll show you where the variables are if you wanted to create this for other stuff. And I'm going to show you different ways that I'm using this in my business to grow and make money and everything like that. Now, what the JSON prompts do is they teach us to think more like AI. They help us get a better AI output. They give concise data. It'll cost less in the future. Now, if I wanted to make money with these, I would go through. I could either sell them as shortcuts. So I go through, I figure out the prompt that works, I make the JSON. Now, I can sell them as shortcuts. I'm just like, okay, here's my list of JSON prompts. I'm going to have a huge list of them over at AIProfitScoop.com. I'll have some of them available. We'll send out. And then for members, I'll have like a giant bunch of them that you can use as well. But those are going to help you in the long run, because it's like me giving you my shortcut to getting this stuff with AI. Very important. So that's one of the ways I can do it. I can also go through and I can tie them with an API to make my own tools that work. And you'll see, like if you were to go to the Ahrefs keyword tool and look at different AI tools that people want, I can go through, I could do like AI prompts, AI prompt, and you'll see the different prompts they want, like AI prompt for writing an article, paragraph generator, AI text generator. Different things like this are key. Now, there will be big ones like that where, you know, AI text generator has like 70,000 people searching for it a month, whereas other stuff, maybe there's like a specific like flyer generator or a logo generator. Like let's do AI logo, okay? If you do AI logo generator, look at this. This is key. This is a business in a box here where you could go out there and you could build this. So we have AI logo generator. So now what I could do is I could go through and I can give the AI instructions. And you could build these with AI. If I go to ChatGPT, right, like this, I can say, tell me about the 100 most popular logos. And we'll just turn this to the fast mode, fast answers, and why they worked. Okay, so this is going to go through. It's going to look at the top 100 most popular logos, why it worked. It'll be like Nike, why did it work? It's simple, it's recognizable. This, why did it work? Because it was blue and people trust blue. It's going to get all that data. We're going to pack it into a JSON prompt. So now we'll go through and say, now pack this into a JSON prompt where the user can edit the variable for the niche and company name. And watch how this works. It's like crazy good stuff. So here's our JSON prompt. Boom, there we go. Logo analysis. It gives us the logo simplicity, all of this. And now, based on something that a lot of people are searching for, I can actually tie this in. So now I go copy, go to a new chat, and I think 5 does images, I'm pretty sure. Let's do this. We just enter this, and I'll say insert niche here. Let's say AI logo pros or something, whatever, right? AI logo generator. And let's say it's like the logo pros or something like that. Let's do logo man pro or something like that, right? So now it's going to go through. That's all I need to do. All this other stuff has all that research it did before. Now it's going to go through and it's going to make the idea for the logo, right? Like that. It's like, okay, here's what you need, why it works, symbolism, implies trust and expertise, timeliness, whatever. And now we go through and we'll see how it goes. Let's see if it asks us if it wants to make it. 5's a little weird with the logos. Yes, make the logo image, please. Let's see how it does. Let's see what happens here. But going through here, now I can create that, and now I have something that's usable and works. Now, if I was going to go through and tie that into an API, I could just say make a tool that ties into the API, use a proxy so that my API key isn't out in the public and stuff like that, and it'll actually make that tool. That's what we did with Blog Profit Network. Very simple, very straightforward, based on things that work for us. If you know something that works, it'll help us. Now, we can also go through and create them as a flow for a business. So you could go into a business, say like a dentist or a content business or whatever it is, and you can look at their process, turn it into a series of JSON prompts, and now you go through and you're like, okay, now I can make this for you. And now you have a tool that's going to help your business. And you could charge them monthly for that. It's crazy simple. And it's all about understanding how it works to get them that output so that they don't have to spend the hours to do that. Or you can use them on your own to get better, faster content. This is what I'm doing. And we use it in our content business where it's like, hey, use these JSON prompts to create this in a specific way. Like I could go through and say, let's do a new chat. And I can take the way that I write articles. Dissect how a good advertorial blog post should work and the elements it should have. And then we'll take that, break it down into a JSON prompt, and then it'll be like, boom, there it is. It's almost like the direct access where it's like, hey, I'm going direct where you're going to understand this, where I don't have to say, hey, how are you, what you doing? Oh, do you mean trees, or do you mean this, or do you mean that? It's actually going to dissect it. So let's do like this. So there's our Logo Man Pro. That's kind of cool looking, right? Here's our second one. So it did a pretty decent job of making them very simple. Obviously, if I had a better AI design or a better name, it would probably work better as well. Now, going through here, I can take this and say, now make this a detailed JSON prompt that has variables for the user. And I'll show you how I would turn this into an actual tool as well. So now we have this, okay? Now make a PHP tool that has a form that edits this and sends it to the Gemini, or let's say ChatGPT, GPT API, and makes what they want, or something like that. And it'll actually go through and it'll make the PHP tool like this. Actually, let's say make it HTML, please. I think we have to do HTML to get it to run. Let's try to go to Canvas and see. Canvas, I like that. It should run it. I think so. And then what'll happen, let's make it HTML, and it should go into Canvas here. Hopefully, yeah, there we go. So now we can run it, and I'll show you what it would look like. It would literally just talk to the API. You would put your API where it says to do that, obviously making sure you secure it and everything. And then you go through and just make it based on the prompt, and then boom, you got a tool. Now you got something that works. There are tools like this that people have made that are actually not that difficult to run, and they do really well. Obviously, you have to promote them and everything. It's not like a guarantee or anything like that. There's a lot of work involved. But once you have a tool that works based on something you know works, boom, there we go. Like the webinar one, make a webinar like Marcus or whatever. Here's one where you have like the niche, the authority score, customer testimonial. It'll go through. And so this will make the advertorial blog post. They type this stuff in, boom, it's going to create that using the JSON prompt. Very important. Now, understanding these, again, I'm going to have a list of like 100 of these in the membership at AIProfitScoop.com. We'll give a couple of them away just for opting in as well. But I want to show you some of the ones that we can use this for and why it would work well. You can use this for blog article writing, social media content, email marketing, product descriptions, video script writing, image generation, press releases, ad copy, customer service chatbot. Like if you want a custom chatbot and you're like, here's the rules, here's where I want you to get the data from, boom, there you go. Sales pitches, customer services, surveys, influencer outreach. If you want to like reach out to influencers and build a business. You could do them for data analysis, market research, and all of these other things. And we'll have a list of these in the AI Profit Scoop. So just go there. We'll have some of them there for you. And then we'll have like the big batch of over 100 of them in the membership there, which is pretty cool. If you want to learn AI from me, AIProfitScoop.com is a great place to go. You could just go there and click on the sign up, and there's a little link with descriptions and stuff like that. But going through there and understanding how these JSON prompts work is super, super key. I'm going to have the notes as well as some of the prompts that you can use and the codes and tools and everything like that over at AIProfitScoop.com. Again, take a look at this because this is something where you're getting a different result, you're getting it faster, and you don't have to have the guesswork. Right? We could go through and we can get something consistent that's going to work, and then we can dissect it down into that compact data that's like, oh, here's what I want exactly. And these are things that businesses are going to want. These are things that you can use in your business to get results. And this is something where it's helping you understand, hey, this is how a computer thinks. So going forward in the age of AI, I think it's more important than ever to understand how and why a computer thinks. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash the like button. Let me know in the comments below. Also, check the videos in the description to learn more about JSON prompting, how I'm using it, and get those samples and everything like that. Thanks again for watching. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next training.